Hello, and welcome to the lecture about monochronic and polychronic cultures. We have already talked about Hofstede cultural dimensions. However, we didn't mention monochronic and polychronic cultures here because Hofstede didn't talk about them. He talked about long-term orientation versus short-term orientation, or as we call it, being versus doing cultures. Later, Edward Hall developed or first proposed the handling of time as one of the key components of culture, and he used the terms monochronic and polychronic cultures. So when after Edward Hall proposed this term, now we can already talk that cultures differ in their attitude to time. So actually, they we can add cultural dimensions and we can talk about different attitude to time. From Geert Hofstede, we take this understanding of being versus doing. And from Edward Hall, we take the understanding of monochronic and polychronic cultures. So let's start with being versus doing orientation and these types of cultures. As it is clear from the term, in doing cultures, there is very short time orientation. People are focused on doing, and if we go here, we'll see that in short-term orientations, people have this very high pragmatic approach. They encourage work and they leave to work. In countries with long-term orientation or the so-called being cultures, usually the perspective is rather longer and people work to live. So it is important to maintain relationship, and it is very important to understand that there is present, past, and future, and to focus on the present, not on the future. So being versus doing is a very important definition of the attitude to time. And now we go to monochronic and polychronic. So when Edward Hall thought of monochronic cultures or monochronic orientation, he said that these cultures view time as sequential and linear. Time is a limited resource, so we need to do one thing at a time. And it is very important to be prompt and also to plan. While in polychronic cultures, time is the renewing, so time is renewing itself. The schedules are loose and there are many changes at the very last minute. If we think about monochronic and polychronic time, we may think of a table or where there is just one part where we are now. So when schedules, clock promptedness, drivers, and time is very highly valued. While in polychronic cultures, time is a point, it's intangible, so schedules are very rare and relations are valued more. So again, monochronic people do one thing at a time. They concentrate on the job. They take time commitments seriously. They're committed to the job. They show respect for private property, and short-term relationships are okay. While polychronic people do many things at once, they are highly distractible. Means if the phone calls you will answer, they consider time commitments casually. They are committed more to people. They borrow and plan things often, and they tend to build lifetime relationships. In general, we can summarize all these peculiarities at such categories or in such categories. Number of tasks handled, one at a time, many at a time. Foci at work, efficient task performance, less emphasis on efficiency. Attitude to saving time. There is need to save time and energy, and there is no great need. Term perspective, short-term framework and long-term perspective, and dealing with tiredness and stress. Monochronic cultures usually tend to be more stressed as they are goal-oriented and achievement-driven, while polychronic cultures they have social support, and that is why they are less stressed. If we look at the world map, we'll see the red cultures, they are polychronic cultures, and the blue cultures are monochronic cultures. So again, these are the cultures that if we go back to our cultural dimensions, we'll see that polychronic cultures tend to be more individualistic. They tend to have low power distance, and they tend to be more masculine, but sometimes they may be feminine cultures as well. So today we looked at such cultural dimensions as attitude to time. We talked about being versus doing, and monochronic and polychronic culture. So thank you for your attention and goodbye.